What's up everybody, it's Robin Gaming here. So we are now at part 3 of my top 25 games of all time. It's been quite a while since I did the last part, but it was awesome to see that many of you kept requesting and asking pretty much about when the new part was finally coming, right? So yeah, that's awesome to see. I appreciate, to see all that engagement, I guess, or that you're that interested in finding out what exactly my favorite games of all time were. So without further ado, I'd say let's actually get back into it, and let's simply in this video start talking about my number 15 until number 11 favorite game of all time. And then after this we have 2 parts left, and you're gonna pretty much see that the list will start getting a lot more personal from now on. At some points maybe a little embarrassing for the type of games that I played back in the days, but that I still have such great memories of, being a kid, of course. And one of those will actually be passing by in this video, so you'll see what that is very soon. But let's actually start off with what in my opinion is a really good game, one that I've been pretty much defending like already this entire generation, because man did I love this game. At number 15 I put Rayman Legends, and Rayman Legends officially I think came out last generation at the end on the PS3 and on the 360. I think it even started out with the idea of it being a Wii U exclusive, but it never actually turned out to be that, because I think the console just wasn't doing that well, of course. But this is a game that I played on the PS4 when they kind of remastered it in early 2014, and you gotta imagine early 2014 was that time when the PS4 had just come out. There was barely anything to play at that moment, and so when I saw that they had Rayman Legends, a 2D platformer, available for only, I think at the time, it launched at $40, so not the complete full price AAA game, I was like, I kind of need a 2D platformer to play, so why not? Let's actually go ahead, let's buy the game. And my god, this is now easily, like I said, just one of my favorite games of all time, and it totally deserves that number 15 spot. I think, it's not just the fact that the platforming feels so satisfying. I think what mainly stands out in Rayman Legends is how amazing the art direction and the music and just the vibe you get from playing the game is. You can tell by simply watching the gameplay of this video, but like, that game has such an awesome art style that I think they call the UB Art Engine, but I might be wrong. Has a different name. They also made Valiant Hearts with it and Child of Light, these more cartoony kind of games, but that just look absolutely fantastic. Like I said, the soundtrack is amazing too, and it has some of these games like the music levels. Pretty much every single world in Rayman Legends you're rewarded with a music level that is based on an actual track, so like Eye of the Tiger or something like that. And pretty much when you're like platforming through that level, everything you do in it is based on the notes and everything that plays during the music, so it's all in sync, and that just feels so satisfying to play. Rayman Legends is a game that sadly just didn't sell very well, I think, which is why we haven't heard from a sequel in such a long time, and that really sucks to hear to me, because my god did I love that game. I would totally recommend it to you. I mean, right now you can probably get it for an even much cheaper price on the PlayStation Store, or maybe even in a store near you at retail, I guess, so definitely pick that up. If you love or simply like 2D platformers, this is a must-have in my opinion. One of the best games I've played on the PS4, no doubt. At number 15, Rayman Legends. So number 14, this is kind of the childhood game that I'm gonna move on to right now, that I'm a little embarrassed about, I guess. One of the first platforms that I owned as a kid, I think this must be when I was like 4, 5 or 6 years old, was the Game Boy Color. And being a kid, I was a fan of the Harry Potter franchise. Right now, not really anymore as much at all. It's kind of like this thing that you outgrow, in my opinion. I mean, some people don't, but I personally did, I feel. But as a kid, I was simply a fan of that, so I read all the books, I watched all the movies, and so obviously I also played the games. And on the Game Boy Color, there was the game called, well, simply based on the movie Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. That was the second movie, I think, in the entire series, pretty much. And it's funny because I look back at that game right now, being much older. This is the type of game that I don't enjoy nowadays anymore at all, because it was pretty much a turn-based RPG, very heavy text-based with dialogue and stuff like that. You're just constantly clicking through text, while at the same time, yeah, if you're getting into a fight with a certain creature, it's that typical turn-based RPG thing where you're choosing a spell, you have a magic bar and a health bar and everything like that. So, the thing about this game is simply that I played the shit out of it, and this is also a game where you could do, I think, New Game Plus, and I've probably beaten it like at least 20 times or something. I mean, my childhood, I was just for at least a year or two straight playing the shit out of this game, constantly beating it over and over again. I just had a lot of fun with it. I don't remember it too well anymore, I gotta say, because it's been so long, and it is one of those games I started out with as a gamer, and I think at the time you weren't really looking at the quality of these games. It was simply, oh, it's a Harry Potter game, I like Harry Potter, so obviously I want to play that game. game. Obviously, 4, 5, 6 years old, you weren't looking at Metacritic yet and see if there were better games, or you saw certain franchises you didn't care about, and then those actually did turn out to be technically the better games, which is right now what I would more lean towards. But it was simply, you know, the franchise you liked, and so therefore I loved this Harry Potter game back in the days, being a kid. So at number 13, this is a big surprise to me. We're gonna talk about Hearthstone right now. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, but Hearthstone is one of those games that I've never talked about on the channel, but maybe people on Twitch will know I play quite a lot of that game, or at least in the past I did. I'm kind of not playing it too much anymore right now, I gotta say. Sometimes I pick it up when I feel bored or something, but yeah, easily I think I must be at like maybe 700 hours for this game, if not more. I don't even know, honestly, but it's weird because, you know, it's a card game. It's a card game you can play on the PC or on mobile phones, actually. And I remember when I looked at it, pretty much the way I found out about the game is that my classmates played it. I always used to, you know, I always used to be in college. I had these classmates that were PC gamers, and I myself wasn't like that at all. I never really liked that about them. You know, they wouldn't play on consoles. They would only play on PC. The typical games, the MOBAs and the card games and the Counter-Strike, of course, and stuff, which I talked about in the last part. And one of those games they also played was Hearthstone. And so, while initially I was like, man, this really does not look fun at all in the slightest, they got me to try it. And lo and behold, right now, here we are, a few years later probably, where this might very well be the game I've put the most time into of all time, pretty much, in my life, and that's crazy to see. But pretty much, yeah, it's really the type of game that you gotta try to start getting it. You gotta get into it more and more to know what makes it so addictive and stuff. And I think, you know, the game is definitely of very high quality. And the reason why I say that is because if you play it, you'll notice how awesome the animations are, and also the vibe you get from this game, the fluidness, you know, how smooth it plays, really. Once again, you can tell by the gameplay pretty much, but it's just awesome to play. It's a very fun game that, you know, I think I mainly just played more casually while I was doing something else. So it was kind of like a, you know, you were doing two things at the same time, and then, yeah, if you're busy with something, why not play Hearthstone at the same time? Because it's very, you know, it's pretty slow paced in the way that you gotta wait for your opponent to also end his turn, pretty much, and then you can go. So at number 13, I put Hearthstone. Now we move on to number 12. This is the very first GTA game that I myself really played, and I know I'm pretty late to the party in a way, but to me that was GTA 4, and that is still, in my opinion, the best GTA game I've played. Although granted, I haven't played too many, only 4 and 5, and a little bit of San Andreas now later, pretty much. But GTA 4, what can I say? The reason why I actually liked it more than 5, I know that's not a very popular opinion to have, but the reason why I liked it more than 5 is because I simply enjoyed the story and the characters more. I thought Nico Bellic was a really cool character. I liked the vibe that New York gave me in the game, and then there were also some other characters, like especially Roman. I mean, he was just hilarious to me. I freaking loved that character. I just had such good memories of that, just, you know, beating that game, completing the entire story, and then also 100%ing it, where, you know, I was doing all the collectibles. I got the platinum trophy in the game, which was very hard. It was super hard to get to level 10 in multiplayer, for which I had to grind with a friend pretty much for a very long time. But ultimately, a game I look back at with great memories. You know, GTA 4 really to me was just, it was a GTA game that had that awesome story and characters, whereas with GTA 5 it also did, and it's still a very quality game, but it just, yeah, didn't hit home for me as much, I guess, to the point where when I beat that game, I just never really returned to it. And with GTA 4, once again, I completely 100% of that game, I guess, and did everything that I could do in that world. So that's the one I put at number 12. And then finally, we're gonna move on to number 11, the final game for this part. And this might, I guess, looking at my top 10, or yeah, the remaining top 10 real quick, this is my favorite first-person shooter I ever made, and that is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I remember that the hype for this game was so real back in 2009, to the point where all my friends were playing it, and I myself, of course, therefore had to get the game as well. And looking back at it now, man, that's just, that multiplayer, it had its flaws, right? Like the multiplayer, I remember just being infamous for being very unbalanced in a way. You had people running around with one-man army and noob tubing all over the place, which is what they called the grenade launcher, right? There was a lot of stuff wrong with that game, but I enjoyed it so much, and it might have pretty much been the very first online first-person shooter to get into, or that I got into myself, and so of course, that's always gonna stick with you, right? And I think I especially love the maps in that game. The game launched, I think, with about 16 maps in total, but all of them are different, with a different setting, yet at the same time also recognizable and awesome. I could like mention them all out of the top of my head right now, and that's not something I can do with many multiplayer games out there. You know, you just start forgetting that type of stuff, but with Modern Warfare 2 I never had that. I love playing it with a couple of online friends that I made throughout at the same time. Of course, a lot of people were using headsets and stuff, and sometimes that makes for some kind of childish situations. You know, many young kids used to play that game, right? But you also made many awesome friends, and that was just a part of that vibe. You don't get that as much anymore now on PS4, where people just don't play with headsets that much, and if they do, they'll be in a party chat, so you don't really see them in your lobbies anymore. I made many great friends playing Modern Warfare 2. I love playing Search and Destroy all the time in that game, where if you die, of course, you gotta wait until the next round, so it was very tense. Always loved getting in those, you know, 1v3 situations or whatever that I could then manage to win, where you see the entire lobby going crazy. Great memories of that. Loved getting the tactical nukes, of course, for which, you know, you had to camp a bit. That was also a big issue with the game. Many campers in that game, but it's just the whole package. Like, I look back at it now with such great nostalgia and memories that, yeah, Modern Warfare 2 really, to me, just the first-person shooter I have the best memories of. I loved playing that game. It was absolutely awesome. So that's the one at number 11. And then, with that being said, yeah, that was pretty much part 3 of my top 25 favorite games of all time. We have about 10 games to go, actually, so stay tuned. We're going to be, of course, doing a new part in about a month from now, and if you, of course, want early access to these videos, then you can become a Patreon supporter of mine at patreon.com/robingaming, like all the people next to me who right now support me there. So if you like my videos, then please consider doing that. You get a week early access to these videos as a nice little extra reward. So yeah, if you enjoyed, then I'd really appreciate that. And then with that being said, hope you enjoyed the video, so let me know your favorite games of all time. And then with that being said, thanks a lot for watching, and hope to see you again next time.